Okay, welcome back to the Explainer. Today, we are completely opening up the playbook. I really want you to treat this specific explainer as your own personal, professional Scouts tactical briefing. We're diving deep into match day 3 of the group stage, and we're going to break down the specific strengths, the glaring weaknesses, and the tactical matchups of the teams taking the pitch today. If you want to know exactly what to watch for before that opening whistle blows, you are absolutely in the right place. So grab your notes because we've got a brilliant slate of football ahead of us.
Just looking at the schedule, we are literally crisscrossing North America today. We're starting in the West Coast heat of Santa Clara at Levi's Stadium, jumping right over to that massive East Coast electric energy at MetLife and Gillette Stadium, and then wrapping the whole thing up under the late-night lights at BC Place in Vancouver. And you know, the different co-host venues are going to play a massive role today. The varying climates, the travel fatigue, and especially the intense local support drawn to these different hubs, that's going to dramatically influence the match atmospheres.
Okay, let's dive into this scouting itinerary real quick. First, Group B, midfield tactical control. Next, Group C, the blockbuster clash, followed by returning nations pressure. Then Group D, late night flair. And we'll wrap it all up with matchday upsets and final predictions.
Starting with Section 1, Group B, midfield tactical control. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. at Levi's Stadium.
Now, looking at our predictions here, comparing the baseline with my own scout analysis, we're largely on the exact same page. Current betting odds actually reflect this consensus too, heavily favoring a 2-0 Swiss victory. My analysis slightly leaves the door open for a Qatar goal, bringing it to 2-1, but honestly, that clean 2-0 sheet is highly probable. Let's look at exactly why that is. When you contrast the playing styles between these two sides, a really fascinating narrative emerges. On one hand, you have Switzerland. They bring this deeply ingrained European discipline. They are exceptionally well organized, and they possess the kind of tournament experience that just keeps them completely calm under pressure. On the other side, you have Qatar, and definitely do not forget, they are the defending 2022 Asian champions. They're going to bring incredibly passionate support and a ton of energy to the pitch. But, and here's the kicker, their major vulnerability is that they historically struggle when forced to play against top-tier, highly tactical European sides that just refuse to let the game become chaotic.
So, what does this all mean? Well, midfield control dictates the overall tempo of the match. Because Switzerland is expected to totally dominate that central zone, they're going to starve Qatar of possession and dictate the pace. Furthermore, when you're an underdog side constantly having to defend against a controlled midfield, you inevitably concede fouls. And what does that lead to? Set pieces. Set piece vulnerabilities are a massive risk for Qatar here. Expect the Swiss to exploit these dead ball situations to put in a thoroughly professional performance and secure those 3 points.
All right, moving on to Section 2, Group C, the blockbuster clash, 6 p.m. at MetLife Stadium.
Look at this. We are literally in total lockstep here. An exact match predicting a 2-1 victory for Brazil. Now, while we both clearly favor the South American Giants to edge it out, I have to warn you, given the sheer quality on both sides of the pitch today, a draw wouldn't be shocking at all. It is going to be an incredibly tight contest.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the individual star power is going to entirely dictate the tactical flow. You have Brazil's Vinicius Jr. pushing forward with that elite attacking flair he's honed over Ancelotti. But directly countering that is Achraf Hakimi from Morocco. Vinicius's aggressive positioning forces Hakimi to alter his defensive organization, right? But the absolute second Brazil loses possession, Hakimi will launch blistering counterattacks right into that vacated space. It's a true heavyweight bout on the flank.
Let's look at the broader team dynamics for a second. Brazil are 5-time winners. They possess massive, undeniable star quality across the entire pitch. They are the clear favorites. But Morocco? They're the 2022 semifinalists. They know exactly how to handle the pressure of the big stage. As the underdog, Morocco can overcome their on-paper tactical disadvantages through sheer physical intensity. Their primary threat is just how highly dangerous they are in transition play. If Brazil commits too many men forward, Morocco's physical counterattack will punish them instantly. The atmosphere at MetLife is going to be absolutely electric for this clash of styles.
Over to Section 3, still in Group C, returning nations pressure. 9 o'clock p.m. at Gillette Stadium.
Once again, comparing our predictions. You went for a really bold 3-0, while my scout analysis came in just slightly more conservative at 2-0. But the narrative here is exactly the same. We both expect a very comfortable statement win for Scotland.
You know, returning nations face a really unique kind of pressure, and Scotland is completely primed to thrive in it. Long-term statistical trends actually show that historically, returning nations play with far more structural discipline than raw tournament debutants. After decades away, that pent-up motivation is paired with elite organization and massive set-piece threats. Scotland's sheer motivation and rigid structure should overwhelm Haiti. Haiti has a talented squad for sure, but they are facing a massive step up in quality here, which should help the Scots lay down a marker to challenge for those knockout spots.
Section 4, Group D, Late Night Flair, a midnight Eastern Time kickoff up at BC Place.
And would you look at that? Another exact match. We are perfectly in lockstep on this 2-1 prediction favoring Turkey. Statistical trends across recent group stages show that tight matches between contrasting physical and technical styles almost always yield goals. One team just naturally has that slight attacking edge.
So where does that attacking edge come from? Well, Turkey brings incredible passion, high technical quality, and that sharp European edge to their play. They just love to attack with flair. The Socceroos, Australia, they're known for a very resilient, highly physical style of play. They will fight you for every single inch of the pitch. However, Australia's primary weakness is that they can be incredibly vulnerable defensively when they get stretched. Turkey's technical flair is perfectly positioned to exploit those exact defensive gaps. The Socceroos' physicality will absolutely make it a battle, but expect Turkey's flair to ultimately win out in Canada.
Finally, Section 5, Matchday upsets and final predictions. Let's recap the dossier. So, the crucial point to take away from all this is that the favorites are perfectly set up to execute their game plans. Switzerland and Brazil are highly likely to grab those crucial early group points, utilizing their respective midfield control and massive star power. Meanwhile, a strong showing today means Scotland and Turkey will be incredibly well positioned to advance to the knockouts. And zooming out for a second, today is just a massive day for the overall atmosphere of the tournament. The co-host vibes across the different stadiums and the intense emotional storylines of returning nations like Scotland finally hitting the pitch, it's going to be special. But, before we lock everything in, remember this absolute golden rule of scouting. These are all winnable for the favorites, but World Cup magic means upsets happen. Despite all the rigorous tactical breakdowns we've just gone through, the very nature of this tournament is unpredictable. The probability of an underdog totally defying the odds through sheer heart and physical intensity, that is exactly what makes this the greatest sporting event in the world. So I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought. We both predicted 2-1 for Brazil, but you've seen the tactical matchup now. You know Hakimi is incredibly dangerous on the counter. What is your score prediction for Brazil versus Morocco if the game gets truly chaotic and spicy? Can the physical underdog actually rattle the 5-time champions? Use the tactical knowledge you've gained today and let us know what you think. Thanks for joining this briefing on The Explainer, and enjoy the phenomenal matches ahead.